You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy, and I am back in America, back from the cruise. I got back on Saturday, and we're recording this podcast on Sunday, and it took me about a day and a half to detox, enough to do the show, and we had a great time, and I met a lot of great new friends and everything. Many people on the cruise actually been going with us for 5 years, and a lot of new people, and we had a great time. And everyone who was with me on the cruise, man, they know what I'm talking about, right? It was an amazing, we've done, this was our fourth cruise because of COVID. Mm-hmm. We missed, 2 because COVID shut down the cruise industry. And then they had that Omicron. So we missed 2. So this was our first one in 2 years. And it was the most fun cruise I've ever had in my life. And I've been on a lot of cruises beyond even these cruises. So I've been cruising since I was in high school, and it was just a great time. And I am in the middle of making a video of the cruise, which is phenomenal. And you're going to see everything that happened on the cruise. We had an incredible time, and the video is going to be the longest vlog I've ever made. This is and it's going to be where I was going to do like a video a day, a vlog a day, and we were having so much fun. I thought, you know what, let me do one big vlog, and then when it's all done, I will upload it, and we'll do a live premiere with a chat room like we do the podcast. So it's not done yet. I don't want to say when it will be done because I don't exactly know yet, because like I said, this is the longest vlog I've ever made. And I was telling people on the cruise ship, this is going to be my masterpiece. It's going to be my Citizen Kane. It's not going to be quite as long as Gettysburg or Schindler's List, but it's going to be long, but it'll be worth it, and you'll see all the fun that we had. But I'll tell you, we had a reputation on the ship among the other passengers and the crew, and we were known as the MAGA group. And remember, we had an event on the last day where we talked about the next cruise, which we're doing. In a year from April. It's about a year and 3 months from now. It's in April of 2024.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah, and it's on an amazing ship, and we're going to Aruba and some other super cool places. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, which are really awesome places in the Caribbean. I'm looking forward to. But so on the last day, we do this presentation to tell everyone in this group what we're doing next time, and we have a bar and all this stuff. The bar, they have captains for everything. There's a hotel captain, a restaurant captain, a bar captain, the ship captain, a co-captain, all these captains. The bar captain, I overheard him talking to some of the bartenders, and and both of them on multiple occasions referred to us as the MAGA group. And in my vlog, I wore my MAGA stuff on the first couple of days quite a bit, my MAGA hat and everything else. And I got almost all positive reactions, and people coming up to me and having conversations and everything. But you'll see one thing in the vlog, which I don't explain. So I'll tell you, I'm putting this in there without explaining it. But I'll tell you in advance what it is when it's up there. And it's kind of in the beginning section. It was the first night, maybe the second night. I can't remember. But I'm filming one of our people in our group that I became really good friends with, Dan. He's out on the dance floor, and Dan and I had been drinking, and he's dancing kind of funny. And I'm just filming Dan on the dance floor. And this couple come by, and the husband, and they're older, they're like in their 50s, 60s. The husband gives me this dirty snarl, and the wife actually puts her hand towards me in front of the camera to block me and almost really kind of push me out of the way. She put her hand on my phone because I film with my iPhone. She put her hand on the phone and everything and blocked it. And I had some words, but they kept walking. I had some words, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I went and sat down with our group. There's this nightclub called The Club, and which is kind of cool. And they have like I don't know, velvet furniture and stuff like this. I don't know exactly. So we were hanging out. We had like our couches. A guy called it the champagne room. We had our champagne. And I go over and I told everybody what happened. And I was showing everybody the video. And I said, I don't understand what's going on. I never had anything like this happen before. And they said, it's your MAGA hat. It's your MAGA hat, So, and then mostly it was positive, but I did have some run-ins with triggered liberals throughout the week on the cruise. One of them, I got off the boat. We had a tour that we took together, which was amazing. We took this catamaran tour and this train around, I think it was St. Kitts St. Kitts Virgin Islands, Tortola. We went to Puerto Rico. Tortola is the British Virgin Islands, and then St. Kitts. So this was in St. Kitts, okay? And it was a long walk from the boat down the pier to where we were at, and I had my MAGA hat on. And this guy walks by me, and he says, nice hat. Too bad he's going to jail. And he kept walking. Well, we were walking in the same direction. I don't know if he got off our ship. There was a ship next to us. So I don't know which ship he was on. And he was walking fast, but I walked kind of fast. And I said, go to jail. I said, don't you have to commit a crime to go to jail? He said, January 6th. I said, oh, Trump, he told them to go to the Capitol. He said, peacefully, let your voice be heard. Peacefully. Yeah. And he said, whatever, he's going to jail, And I said, what about that hair sniffer that you have, the one that likes to grope his granddaughter? I said, when's he going to go to jail for that? He's like, well, I'm not going to defend him. And I said, well, you voted for him. And by the time we were done, we were speed walking because he was walking so fast.
Too bad you didn't film this.
Well, unfortunately.
I would have been good.
Unfortunately, I got caught up on the ship and our group was already, they were waiting for me. And I was way behind. There was no one in the group there and I wasn't filming. And, but mostly we had, I had nothing but positive experiences. I was wearing one day during the day.
There's always some Trump hater.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately.
I was walking around the ship one day, and I had my MAGA hat on and my Ron DeSantis shirt, that one where he's in his naval uniform.
Oh, that
Ron DeSantis
really triggered people.
And this couple, this couple came up to me. And they were talking about the shirt. Oh, yeah. And then I said, yeah, yesterday I saw a guy walking up on the pool deck with this other shirt that said something about Trump. I said, yeah, that was me. And it was like, so it was a pretty positive experience for the most part, with a couple of moments. But we had a great time. And when you see my vlog, you'll see what a great time that we had. And I hope if you did not go on this one, you guys go on the next one, okay? And you'll have a great time. But it took me a day and a half to recover, and we all of us drank a lot, and that's okay. I drank a lot of water. After every drink or two, I would have a bottled water.
That's how you prevent a hangover.
So I didn't have any hangovers or anything, but I kind of had lost my voice. And then I had to wake up at 3:30 a.m. this morning to take our daughter to the airport to go back to California. So I was not getting much. I was going to bed. We closed down the bars every night on the ship, all right? And they closed at 2. And then
In fact, you came home today. You got up at...
Yesterday I came home.
I mean, no, but I'm saying from the airport. You got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Today, 3:30. I got up
3:30 to take Emily and Sam to the airport.
Yeah, so my daughter's friend.
You had to pick up them and take them to Fort Lauderdale. And then you came home. What time did you get home?
I don't know, 6 or 6:30.
And I woke up about 8, and you were asleep. Well, you never sleep in that late. And then I left the room, and you slept till 10:30.
I've never slept in that late.
I have never seen you sleep that late in our entire marriage.
Never.
7, 8 o'clock is late for you, but 10:30, I couldn't. I came in to make sure you were still breathing.
Well, on the cruise, I'd get to bed.
God.
I'd get to bed around 2:30 or 3, and then I was waking up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning on the cruise, so I was getting like 3 hours sleep, and we had such a great time, and my voice still is not 100%, but we're getting there. But I can't wait for you guys to see the vlog and see all the good times.
It's a good vlog. I saw some of, the part you did without editing is too much. I saw what you had. You had good footage.
But what I did, until the last couple days of the cruise, I didn't follow any news. I didn't read the news. I didn't follow the news until the last couple days.
Was that nice?
It was nice. Yeah, it was. This week was the fastest week of my life. We got on the ship on Saturday, and we got off the ship the following Saturday. It went by in a blink.
Well, it was the longest week for me. I really missed you and Emily. I'm glad you had a great time.
Sorry.
It was tough. No, it's okay. I'm okay. My dad stayed here, and your mom stayed one night, so that was nice. But the dog went nuts. I mean, that was really the problem was you get up and let her out at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I don't do that. So there were a few accidents, and she just, the minute you left, she just was like nuts, like just anxious.
Our dog doesn't like it when we're on home.
She wanted out every hour. She drove me insane, crying, carrying on the whole time. She really missed you. She just knew, Nina's very sensitive. She knew something was off.
Our dog is a nut.
So she drove me nuts. But it was a long week for me, but I'm glad you had fun. I really am. Emily and Sam and you, and my mom was there, my stepdad, they all had a great time. So that was really nice. I'm trying to get my dad and my stepmom to go next year. And my dad's been with you before, but I think they're going to go on the next one.
Well, let me tell you, out of all the ones we did, this was the most fun I've had. I've had fun on all our cruises, but this one I had the most fun on.
You had some older people that have been, not older, but I mean people that have been on other cruises.
Some have been on every cruise we've done.
And then you had a new crop of people.
Some that was their first cruise with us. Some of it was their second.
Emily said a lot of people from California were on the ship. She was shocked.
We had an entire MAGA brigade from the San Francisco Bay Area.
That's great. Do they know each other?
They
do now.
Yeah, they do know each other. They do know each other, and they're like, I guess they're like closeted MAGA out there to a certain extent.
Not the safest place to live for anybody, let alone a MAGA person.
I mean, in San Francisco, you could be out of the closet as anything other than MAGA.
I sent you a picture.
In fact, that's one of our California MAGA just sent me a text message. So, what happens on cruise, those of you that have been on cruises, I don't know if you've had this experience, but because we got a group of people, they're listeners to the program. Some listen on the radio, some listen to the podcast, some watch on YouTube, some do listen on all platforms and everything else. You get, it's like it's a family, you form a group, a bond, a family, and it grows every cruise, and we just all have a great time.
And it must be nice. Because Emily was excited because she went on the last cruise with you, which was like 2 or 3 years ago.
5. Oh, no, the last one was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
The first one was 5 years ago.
Yeah, she went on the last one, and she got to see some people that she saw a couple years ago. So that was exciting, and she's looking forward to the next one to see people that are, because you already signed up a bunch of people for next year.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of.
She's excited about that.
Yeah,
too.
and it's gonna be amazing. But the thing about when you got a MAGA group of people, you automatically have a bond.
You do.
You have and I don't know what it is. I mean, we were a very confident group, and they have these shows every night that go on. You guys been on cruise? They have shows, and they had very good shows, and in their theater, every show. We had the entire front row in the show, and it got to the point, and how we got the front row in the beginning is, well, I said, well, you know what, the show we have dinner very early, like we have dinner like the early bird, and the reason we do that is so we are done with dinner early, so we got the whole night to have fun and do things. So we'd go to the 9 o'clock show. So I said, well, let's get there about half an hour, 20 minutes early, and then I'll be there, and then whoever gets there with me that early, we save the seats. And you'll see this in the video. So I'll get up and I'll make a video in the theater showing where we are. And the first couple, I had big Trump shirt. I had my Trump hoodie on. It says Trump across it. Another one having, and it got to the point people thought. Our group was so popular and well known on the ship. There were over 2,000 people on the ship, but everybody knew. they thought we had the whole first row reserved.
So the first time in your life, you were one of the cool kids.
That's right. That's right. So
one of the popular kids.
So, like a guy who was not with our group, he came up to me a couple days into the cruise, and he said to me, "How do you get the front row in every show?" You know, and I told him, I said, "Well, we're a VIP group, so you know, we got the front." I didn't want to tell him we were just going down there and saving seats because then he'd rush with his friends. So by the middle of the cruise, everybody else on the ship just assumed that the MAGA group had the whole first row
the whole time
reserved. But yeah, so it was amazing.
How did you save that many seats? Confused how you did that.
We're just very good at it and very confident. So you sit every other seat, you put drinks in the cup holders. And the first show that we saw together as a group was this amazing rock and roll show.
Yeah, it was really good. I saw clips of it. It was really good.
These very talented people.
Very talented.
And they're singing all these songs, these rock and roll songs.
You know, Michael Bublé was discovered on a cruise ship.
Well,
that's where he got started. He did cruise ships.
So
they hire talented people.
So we were in the front row during this rock concert. And we were all into. They're playing all these songs we grew up with. So we're singing, we're kind of dancing and up on our feet, dancing and everything. And I'm taking selfies with the cast as they get near me in the front of the stage. They're like coming right up to us and singing to our face because we're right there, and everything else. And I can't tell you how many people came up to me that were not in our group, right? That were on the ship, and they're like, "Wow, you guys." So one guy came up to me right after the show. That didn't know this guy. He wasn't with us and everything. And he said, "You guys in the front row were amazing." He says, "You were interacting with the cast, and they were feeding off of your energy."
Yep.
And I said, "Well, that's the price of sitting in the front row. Is you have to be into the show."
Right.
And
obviously, I mean, if you're sitting there and you're in the front and you're like got your arms crossed and a sour look on your face, the performers see that, and it can affect their performance.
Yeah, it's hard
like
to perform.
One person, so you do have to be really into it. I think if the performers see you, I think that's important for them.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll just end with this. So sometime over the next week
or two,
well, not that long. It's not going to be 2 weeks, but over the next week or so, my vlog of the entire cruise I'm going to try to have it ready for next weekend because I want to do a live premiere with a chat room, and I want to be able to tell you what day. So it's a lot of fun, and when I announce when we are doing the live premiere for the cruise vlog, I really hope you join us. It'll be on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show, Brian Craig on YouTube. Find me that way.
If you want to book too for next year, you can book now, and it is a higher end cruise, and you can make payments. A lot of people are concerned they can't afford it, but you can make installment payments. So if you started now. And you could maybe afford, a certain amount every month instead of paying one big
people do that
lump. A lot of people do that. They book now, they put a deposit, and then every month they send Ian, the travel agent, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then in a year, and they'll actually have more than a year. You'll have a year and 3 months, and you'll have it paid off.
So
you get two people for
So when I announce when I am going to debut the vlog. Please be there and watch it. You're going to really enjoy it, and we'll have a chat room going on. And I'm sure
it'll be fun.
A lot of the people from the cruise will be in the chat room.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And and then we'll just have a good time. Now, a lot of the things that'll be in there, I may not have remembered them happening because I was drinking a little bit, quite a bit. But we just one last thing, then we'll move on to the issues. We had this catamaran's a sailboat. We had this catamaran tour around the island of Tortola.
Right.
That was I've never done that before, and it was.
I have never been on a catamaran. I've always wanted to go on one. I've been on all kinds of boats.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, I just couldn't believe it, and we were on the catamaran.
I can't believe how many people it fit on there.
Well, what happened was we took a train tour around this island, and then when we got to the other side of the island, we got on this catamaran. The catamaran took us around the rest of the island and actually took us back to our ship, which I didn't know it was going to do that. And it was windy. So, and they were serving beer and rum punch on the catamaran. And it was we traveled quite a ways, had a great time. We were on the front of the ship, just the front of the boat.
Drinks in the Caribbean, that's for sure.
And it was windy. So I took my MAGA hat off and was holding my MAGA hat. and dropped it with the wind. And I had a beer in the other hand.
Uh-oh.
And I dived down on the floor and said, grab the mega hat. I was celebrating, grab the mega hat. And my beer was flying everywhere, all over everyone. I didn't want to lose. One of our group lost his MAGA hat the first night on the ship.
Did it fly overboard?
No, he went to the men's room and it never got it back. So I don't know if he took it off in the men's room and left it in there or something. He didn't
see anybody wearing it, I guess. They stuck it in their suitcase. Or maybe one of the crew threw it away.
I don't know. But there was beer going everywhere. I dived down on the deck of the catamaran and I just saved it before it ended up in the Caribbean Sea, which was amazing. Anyway, listen, let's take a break. After the break, I want to get into this Chinese spy balloon story because it's insane, and there's a lot of fake news going on about it, and we're going to get into all of that. All right, I'm Brian, always joined. Well, not always, because on the last show I did a show on the cruise. I was by myself then, but almost every time joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll take a quick break and be right back. Do not go anywhere.
The new book from author Harold Andrus is now available on Amazon. Criminal Atonement. From poverty-stricken youth to affluent drug smuggler, Criminal Atonement is a look back on the life of ex-con Harold Andrus as he strings together events that led him to his criminal career and ultimate downfall. He turned to crime early for both necessity and fun. What started as a simple mix-up with some kids' shoes turned into a pattern of stealing that followed him well into his teenage years. The friends he kept, the jobs he took, and the attitude he had cemented his path, leading him to his first felony at only 17. He soon made a name for himself as a top drug dealer in Texas and made more money than he could ever dream of as a child. His past finally caught up to him, landing him behind bars for almost 2 decades. After earning an early release and tasting freedom for the first time in 18 years, he's determined to change and begins the difficult path to rehabilitation. Criminal Atonement from author Harold Andrus is a book you will not be able to put down until the very last page. Order your copy of this true crime and rehabilitation story right now on Amazon. Criminal Atonement from author Harold Andrus. Are you looking for a unique and profitable business opportunity? Have you thought about an ignition interlock device business? To give offenders a second chance, courts are often willing to allow convicted DUI drivers to install interlock devices so they can continue to drive their vehicles. These devices work by having the driver perform a breathalyzer test in order to start their car. More and more judges are offering these devices, and you can learn everything you need to know in the book, How to Start an Interlock Business, available online at theinterlockbook.com. This downloadable ebook has tons of useful information that you won't find anywhere else. In this must-read book, you'll learn how to find ignition interlock partners, how to pick the right business model, understand the different types of services, learn to analyze potential service center locations, discover how to streamline business operations, how to apply for the right business license, how to stay in compliance, and much, much more. What are you waiting for? Don't blow and drive. Read and buy the book, How to Start an Interlock Business, online at theinterlockbook.com. That's theinterlockbook.com. Parents, grandparents, and teachers, there's a new children's book you will enjoy with your little ones. Buckley is a Busy Boy, from author Susan Hines. This fun children's book is filled with colorful illustrations and easy-to-follow rhyming text that will teach children how to connect with other children, help them learn, and discover how to play with other kids. Your kids will want to read Buckley is a Busy Boy over and over again. Join in on the adventures of Buckley as he learns healthy routines, explores the outdoors, and learns the meaning of family. Order your copy of Buckley is a Busy Boy from author Susan Hines, online at tjppublications.com. That's tjppublications.com for Buckley is a Busy Boy from author Susan Hines. Do you have a mystery to solve in your life? Are you looking for someone? Need to track someone down? If so, Detective Gomez is the man for the job. The Gomez Detective Agency has been serving the North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area for over a decade, specializing in infidelity. Detective Daniel Gomez serves as the lead detective for the hit reality TV show Cheaters. He knows cheaters and he knows how to find them. Maybe he can help you trap that cheater once and for all. He is an experienced and exceptional detective who takes his work very seriously and cares about each and every client. Detective Detective Gomez also has an amazing podcast that you will want to add to your playlist. It's called Beyond Cheaters, the Detective Gomez Files podcast, and is available wherever you listen to podcasts. He spills the beans on some of his craziest cases. Check out his website right now, detectivegomez.com. Don't be the last to know. detectivegomez.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so I did follow on the cruise the balloon story. And there's a lot of fake news going on out there. I have a list of the U.S. military bases that the balloon traveled over as it crossed, like Lewis and Clark, except it went the, went the other direction. It started in Alaska, but I've got a list of all the U.S. military bases that the Chinese spy balloon went over, and let me just count them. Okay, listen to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. The balloon went over 21 U.S. military installations across the continental United States, which tells me that the balloon was under some type of control, that it's not an accident.
No.
That it went over all these things, and I don't know how they controlled it, if it had a little propeller on it. You know, I'm watching the Fox about this because, I was on the ship, so, they got Fox, So I'm watching Fox, and they got, the way they do news these days is just they don't have a news story. Okay, the Chinese balloon story. Republican consultant John Jerk is here with Democrat strategist John Other Jerk.
Let's unpack it.
Let's just hear what they have to say, as opposed to telling you what's going on.
No, they don't do that in the news anymore. They don't give you the facts.
I know.
They give you a little sound bite.
Yeah.
And then they discuss it for 3 weeks, and they never give you, because
that's right.
They don't want you to know, or they don't bother to even look.
So anyway, the Democrat strategist, he said he was. I heard him several times, and he said the same thing every time with a snicker, because he was he's a Democrat, he's vacuous, he doesn't have much to say, but he says well, the first rule of spying is not getting caught, and the fact that we're seeing the balloon means that the Chinese lost because they got caught. No. The Chinese don't care that we know.
They wanted us to know.
Yeah, what this was about, it very well may have been about spying, but it was, I think what the balloon was more than anything was a test to see what American reaction would be. And what we have this woke.
That's what Marco Rubio said.
Did he say that? Yeah, we have this woke military that's run by critical race theorists and transgender study majors. And we've got this chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milli Vanilli, and they
Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, that's what I call him, because he's fake, he's fake. He's taught, you think he's a tough guy, but he's really not. And, the military we have today are the ones that organized this humiliating withdrawal in Afghanistan. They got how many people killed, we'll never know. And then they were promoting it as this was the greatest, largest American airlift in history. Be proud, So they're all into spin. And no, this was a test, and the United States did not respond. And let me tell you, I heard one guy on Fox say this is a Sputnik moment, and what he for Americans, and what he meant by that is Sputnik, which was the first satellite to orbit the Earth, was put up by the Soviets. A lot of people in America were terrified because if they can put a satellite, they can put a missile, right? The people were terrified by that. And I agree, but as far as a test, the balloon being a test, the last time this happened, when there was an adversary that did a test and American response was embarrassingly nothing, was bin Laden and Al-Qaeda did there were several attacks, but mainly when they attacked Well, we had the first Trade Center attack, but the main attack that was a test of American response was those embassies in Africa and then the USS Cole. And when the embassies were attacked and the USS Cole were attacked, the United States handled them not as terrorist attacks or military attacks. They acted as if they were criminal investigations, criminal incidents, and they had the FBI handle the investigation of the Cole and those embassy attacks, the tower attacks in Africa. And Al-Qaeda knew then that America was weak, and when America was attacked, they wouldn't respond. So then they planned and did 9/11.
Right.
The problem was we went from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. So they didn't think there would be any reaction. They misjudged reaction because there had been a change in administration. So that's what China's doing now. And they were testing. I think China. Maybe they didn't want us to see the balloon. We'll never know if they wanted us to see the balloon or not.
Oh, I think they did. I mean, it's obvious. It's right out there, and they weren't flying them at night.
But even
it was in the middle of the day on clear skies. Yeah. You see this big white balloon. It was all over the news. I mean, of course they wanted you to know. They wanted everybody to see that they were there and to see what we would do about it.
Well,
I mean, that's the whole point.
Even if they were there, though, even if it was by accident that it came so low it was seen, it doesn't matter if they wanted it seen or not. It still was if they didn't want it seen and then it became seen, or if they planned on it being seen, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But no matter what scenario it was, it became a test by the Chinese to see what Americans' response. Like when I was out on the cruise, we were talking about this. I don't know if it was. I guess it was Thursday when this came out, and I saw online we were talking about it, and I was like, they're so concerned about this Chinese balloon. Here we got a president who's in the pocket of China. We got Mitch McConnell, who's got a Chinese handler as his wife. We just had this story about the Chinese woman giving the classified documents to Hunter from Biden's office and then we got Feinstein with the spy, you know what I mean, and Fang and all this stuff.
Yeah, why go to all the trouble with the balloon? They already got all these people that they're looking into already.
It's hard to get upset about a balloon when we have this going on.
Well, that's why it seems to me that it was a show, and because they are infiltrating a lot of things through the Democratic Party, like the things you mentioned, where they could easily gain access to information they needed. Biden's leaving classified documents in his garage with his drug addict son with the hookers.
Probably for the Chinese.
I feel like these balloons definitely were meant to be seen, were meant to get on the news. And like you said, the Chinese are playing a whole other game. It's on a whole other level than we're playing. I don't know what Biden's playing. He's playing tic-tac-toe, and they're playing like chess or some super more like complicated cerebral game, whatever you can name.
Not only is he playing,
he's playing jacks, like when you were a kid.
Not only is he playing tic-tac-toe, he's letting the guys play against go first to get that corner.
Honestly, my brother, who's a big liberal, calls me up, and he's confusing sometimes. And he calls me up, and he was all upset in a tizzy, and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, what about this balloon? He always says, what about this, what about that, to get my reaction. And I said, I don't know. I said, at the point I was like, I just don't know. I'm really following the news too much right now. And he said, well, Biden needs to shoot it down. Biden needs to do this and that. And I said, well, and this was before they did take it down. I said, well, I don't think that's going to happen. I said, he's friends with these people. Yeah. But they did take it down, but they shot it down. That was because of pressure.
They took it down.
They didn't do anything until the news started talking about it.
They took it down after it had crossed the entire United States.
Yeah,
and was
exactly.
Out over the Atlantic.
So it was a big nothing.
So it finished its mission.
Exactly.
It finished. So,
they wanted to see how far they can push him.
So then there's a story, 11 balloons from China were over the U.S. under Trump. Well, we find out that wasn't true. Radcliffe, who was the director of national intelligence, went on the air with Maria Bartiromo and talked about that with Maria Bartiromo.
Department of Defense is claiming that...
I just want to say one thing. Why does Maria Bartiromo got to scream?
I can't stand
constantly.
I like her, but I can't watch her because she screams. Her throat must be so sore at the end of the show.
She's always screaming.
Yes.
It's awful.
Department of Defense is claiming that there were 3 balloons, Chinese spy balloons that entered the United States airspace during the Trump administration, and that they were not shot down and they were not disclosed. Can you please tell us the truth and if that's true?
Well, it's not true. I can refute it. Former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper refuted it yesterday. Former Secretary of State and CIA Director Mike Pompeo has refuted it. But Maria, the American people can refute it for themselves. Do you remember during the Trump administration when photographers on the ground and commercial airline pilots were talking about a spy balloon over the United States that people could look up and see even with the naked eye, and that a media that hated Donald Trump wasn't reporting? I don't remember that either because it didn't happen. As I said to you earlier.
I mean, so exactly.
It would have been reported. You think they wouldn't have reported that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, so that's what he means when he says that. Of course, there was not one. And, but even if it were, what does that mean? Even if that were true, it wasn't true that they were over the U.S. Under Trump. But
why is that important? Why does that matter?
They act like it makes it okay.
Yeah, exactly.
If something like that happened, it makes it okay.
Well, that's what they like to do. They'll say, well, it happened under his watch, and that doesn't matter. What's happening is what's happening now, and it's a different administration. It's a different time. And back then during Trump, Ukraine and Russia weren't at war, and there wasn't a threat of China taking over Taiwan like there is today. It's a totally different world we're living in now, okay? It's not like it was 5 years ago. There's a lot of other things happening.
Listen, China has been attacking this country in so many ways, including one big one, which I'm not going to get into that you guys can figure out, but through TikTok, through taking our trademarks away from us. And one that I've been talking about, there's many, many ways they've been attacking it. Well, I'll talk about this one because I don't want to get sidetracked into all their attacks. Yeah. But this is a big one that I've been talking about for months. Is the fentanyl crisis is an attack on America by China. And I've talked about this so much, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I think I need to because of this balloon incident. Mm-hmm. China manufactures the fentanyl pills in pharmaceutical plants in China. They put them on cargo ships. They sail from China all the way to Mexican ports on the Pacific coast of Mexico. The drug cartels get the fentanyl, and everyone crossing the border has fentanyl all over them, hidden somewhere. The fentanyl crisis is an attack on the United States by China. TikTok, just to give, and there's many other things they're doing.
TikTok's just dumbing down the country.
Well, what TikTok is doing is now we have a very small pool of recruitable people, especially men for the military, because all this gender stuff that's going on.
They're really using that to push that.
Primarily is being done through TikTok. And here's the thing with TikTok. And, the generation of military age men and women care about nothing more than how many followers they have on social media and how many views and clicks and likes. And TikTok, people on TikTok, these kids on TikTok, they're not famous. They do nothing. Some of them have millions of followers on TikTok. And the Chinese are doing something with TikTok to make young people addicted to it with these huge followings.
It's very addicting. It's a very addicting app.
Well, they get these kids addicted by this huge follower count, and all of this gender stuff is being spread through TikTok, and that's another Chinese attack on us.
Well, yeah. What I was saying is China is, back in the old days. When a country attacked you knew it. It was usually military, like Pearl Harbor or 9/11 or something, and you knew it. It was like a tangible thing, and it was a military action. Now, China is destroying America on so many levels. It's like like you said, it's psyops. They're messing with the way they think, the way they view the world. And people, these young people, they view the world through TikTok. They're creating a drug problem through these apps. They're creating mental health problems with young kids. I mean, when we were in high school, if we had time to kill, we would read a book or go get in the car and go.
Well, you might. I didn't read many books.
Okay,
then.
Go out and hang out with our friends, or go swimming, or go, in Florida, go do something outside. and it's something that stimulates the brain, something that, now what kids do when they're bored is they sit in their room on their phone and they just scroll through TikTok for 3 or 4 hours. How is that good for them? And they're creating so many problems in this country on so many levels and in so many different areas, like you said, like with the border and with the TikTok, and through these young people. And that's their reality. I really feel sorry for these young people that have grown up with social media because they don't know any other way.
Yeah.
And we're old enough to know the difference. And when you don't have that proper perspective of knowing that there's an alternative and that all you know is social media, to me, that's just so sad.
Yeah.
That's just so sad. They don't know a life of privacy or a life of, like I said, reading a good book. Or a life of not caring what strangers think about, what a life of using filters.
Yeah.
Or, trying to keep up with the Joneses and trying to, live a certain life a certain way because that's how everybody's living life. Because what you see on social media is not real. It's not real. And it's just, it's crazy. But they're attacking us on many levels, psychologically, mentally, now militarily with these balloons and spying on us and getting to our politicians. I mean, they're just playing on a whole other level. And we have a weak leader who's doing absolutely nothing about it.
Well,
there'll be more things coming along.
A few things about all this. I used to think that we would not have a war with China, that China would not want war with us because we buy all the crap that they manufacture. But I don't think so. This balloon story,
I think that too.
makes me think, and I know a lot of people are saying things similar to this, not just me. This is not unique thinking. I think this is just obvious, and a lot of people are saying this, that now China thinks that America is not just weak, that America is over, and China
they're making us weak too.
China is going to make a move, and there is going to be probably a war while we're being distracted with this financial scam that Biden's running in Ukraine. And that's what it is. Rachel Campos Duffy on Fox and Friends was joking around, but she told a joke. But for a joke to be funny, there has to be some truth to it to make it funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what Rachel Campos Duffy said on Fox and Friends this morning is that, well, Joe Biden may have had to wait for permission from China to give the order to shoot down the balloon.
I don't think that's too far from the realm of possibility.
When I first was,
I was thinking the same thing.
I went on a little news blackout, like I said in the last segment, because I wanted to relax, have a good time on the news. But the balloon story came up at the end of the week, and I was watching. It was over Wyoming, and the Pentagon is saying they don't want to shoot it down because of collateral damage on the ground. Wyoming's an empty place.
Yeah, well, I don't know what they're talking about.
There's so few people in Wyoming that even if it passed over a city in a few minutes, it'd be over a prairie.
He let them do it.
Or he was paid to do it. I don't know. But something's going on here. And don't forget this. I don't want you guys to forget this about General Milli Vanilli. This is very important. Remember, it came out after January 6th. He was calling his Russian counterpart in the military over there and remember, Milley took the nuclear weapons control away from President Trump, even though the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I did not know this until after January 6th. Maybe you guys all knew it. Mm-hmm. But the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff does not have authority over any unit or military branch. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is simply a military advisor to the president. I did not realize this. So they're not in command of the military branches. I did not know that until then.
They just advise.
So he had no operational control, yet he went and took control. So
That's crazy.
And he took the control of the nuclear codes. Remember this story? But at that same time, he was also conspiring with Pelosi, we found. He contacted his counterpart, his equal in the Chinese army, to confer with him about God knows what. And, that, which is kind of scary. So China is all up in controlling our government that's in power right now, our military, and God knows what else.
I told you my cousin went to China about 8 years ago. And she, this is my cousin, my Canadian cousin, Heather, and she went with her husband on a tour of China. And they went with like a big tour group. And she said they were walking on the wall, you know, what do you do? And their tour guide, who was American, said to them, she said, and she lived in China. She said, China's goal is to destroy America and be the world leader. And I remember Heather came to Florida, 'cause she comes here for the winter, and told us that. And I said, wow, that's really scary. And when you think, and she said, and the tour guide told them that is their only objective, and they're playing the long game. So somebody might come along, like say Trump gets elected again, and he might put a stop to this nonsense. Believe me, they're still going to do what they're doing, just on a more secretive level, and then they're going to kick it up again. Biden is the perfect puppet. He is the weak, I would say, and see if you agree with this, I would say he is the weakest president we've ever had. Weaker than Jimmy Carter. Yeah. He is the weakest president in our history of this country. He is so weak, you know what? And he's letting it happen.
Not only is...
And he's corrupt.
Well, the reason that is not so much that he's old, feeble, and senile.
Yeah, it's corruption.
It's that he's on the take.
I think it's a mix.
He's on the take.
I think it's a combination, because when you look at him, he looks checked out. But at the same time, he's with it enough to be making his deals.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
All right, now listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's much more. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
Want to know where all the bodies are buried? Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool. Author Robert Allen Miltenberg holds the key to that question in his book, Pool Boy to the Mob. Welcome to Mob-Ammy Beach. This book is a fictionalized account of Miltenberg working at a mob-owned Miami Beach hotel in the 70s. If you're a fan of The Godfather, Goodfellas, or The Sopranos, you will love this story that's full of colorful characters and wisecracking wise guys. It's a story with everything from Playboy bunnies and weaponized parrots to shattering the glass ceiling and getting away with murder, all in paradise. This is a wise guy tale you've never heard. Surrounded by pools, the trick for Bobby Moskowitz was not slipping in the one thicker than water. Bobby lived to tell the tales, and now you can read all about it. The funniest mob novel since Jimmy Breslin's The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. Pool Boy to the Mob, Everybody Out of the Pool, from author Robert Allen Miltenberg, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Now available on Amazon is the book, Your Happiness Depends on Your Choice. Are you on the right path or the wrong path? Our universe is always moving and evolving based on precise, absolute, and unchangeable laws. If everyone proceeds in accordance with the laws, they are most definitely headed for perfection, and they will reach a happy, successful life, a life filled with peace. Whatever path you choose and have persistence and perseverance treading it and have no intention of changing your path, then the forces and facilities in the universe will accompany you and help you tread that path. But how do you choose the right path and walk with perseverance? The answers to those questions and more are found in the new and must-read book, Your Happiness Depends on Your Choice, available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions. Order your copy right now. If you're looking for a beautiful way to enhance your home decor, look to Textiles by J. Purr Blockhouse. At J. Purr Blockhouse, you will find handmade textiles that are truly stunning. They offer soft quilts, cushions, and shams. Experience the ultimate luxury and comfort with these fabulous bedding collections. They use only organic cotton that's very soft with chemical-free dyes. That's perfect for the living room, bedroom, your kids' room, or your guest room. You can transform the look of your bed with these hand-embroidered quilts, cushions, and shams. Find these gorgeous bedding items on Etsy at J. Purr Blockhouse. That's JAIPURBLOC House. On Instagram at J. Purr Blockhouse, or visit their website, jpurrblockhouse.com. Homeschooling has definitely become more and more popular, but it's not always easy finding the right teacher for your child. You need someone with experience and someone who truly cares. Brandy is an online teacher who's passionate about teaching and about making the lives of her students better through education. Brandy has a master's in education and is certified for students in K through 6th grade. Her classes on Outschool.com will range from private literacy and math tutoring, stories and crafts, early literacy skills, and so much more. With With over 30 classes created, Brandy has something for every student. You can sign up today at outschool.com/teachers/Brandy. That's with an I, -from-outschool. Outschool.com/teachers/Brandy-from-outschool. Discover a world of endless learning possibilities with Brandy from Outschool. Sign up your children today. Outschool.com/teachers/Brandy-from-outschool.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. I'm Brian, joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you all. And if you would like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the episode description, as well as a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Rome, Wisconsin, Macho, Mike P, Paulette, Carlos, Dave, and Maria. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all so very much. All right, so
I
we
want to
are
tell
back.
you one thing. I don't know if you heard.
Yeah.
Don Lemon is not getting along with his co-host.
Yeah, because
big surprise.
the woman.
He's a big diva, and gay guys can be a little diva-ish. No, I'm not stereotyping, but it's true. We all know that. And apparently, he's screaming and yelling at what's the co-host, Crystal, whatever her name is, the girl with no lips. And he screamed at her, brought her to tears. I don't know why she'd cry over him. And Offset and all this stuff. They're not getting along. You get three women together. It's always a bad idea. But the show...
The third one being Don Lemon.
Well, I think they figured out. Yeah. But the show sucks. Okay, I watched one episode. I recorded it because it's on when Brian's on the radio. I recorded it. The set is bad. The colors are awful. They have zero chemistry. And I could tell from the first episode, none of them want to work together. Don Lemon hates being there that early in the morning. It has totally disrupted his party life in New York City. He hates doing this. And the ratings are in the toilet. The episode I saw, and I watched the whole thing, I did not see one time the hosts crack a smile. People in the morning, when they watch those kind of morning programs, they want to, if they're into that, like Fox and Friends or whatever, they want a show that's a little lighter, happier, smiling to start their day. My parents used to watch the Today Show with Brian Gumbel and Jane Pauley every morning to start their day when I was growing up. They don't want to see three people with sour pusses that look like they hate each other, no smiling, totally depressed. And I knew when I saw that first episode, I was like, this is not going to last. Nobody is going to watch this. And I was right. The ratings are absolutely in the toilet, and he's imploding. And now they're saying that Chris Licht wants to give Gayle King a primetime show. He has not made enough changes quick enough on that network. He's really dragging his heels on that. He needs to do a big sweep. Yeah. He's not being bold enough, but Gayle King for a primetime show, she'd be crazy to take it.
Well, so far as these
CNN's truly sucks.
As far as these morning shows like this, Don, what I would suggest is don't watch any of those and listen to me on the radio with Steve Kane. Then you have no
exactly.
worries.
But I just think it's
the thing about CNN, when this new company took over, I was expecting them to get rid of everyone, and
they should have.
He's gotten rid of a handful of people. But for the most
really main people.
For the most part, yeah, sure. Brian Stelter, he got rid of. That was big, But what they've done is just rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic.
That's exactly right.
And they really need to get rid of everyone, the behind the scenes people too, and start all over. And what I would suggest is get a bunch of unknown people from local news around the country. When CNN first went on the air, they were not superstar people over there. There might have been one or two people that was known.
And they could pay them half the money.
A lot less than half.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good opportunity.
But most of them were unknown, and you put people on there like that on CNN, and have as the headliner at night. If this is serious, you'll think I'm nuts. If I were in charge of CNN, I would fire everyone on the air and off the air because that liberal Trump derangement disease that they have is at every level, even the cameramen, right? Hire people from the local news at every aspect of CNN, start completely from scratch. And in the evening and prime time, I would have a primetime news show to go right up against Tucker, to go against Tucker and Hannity.
I would also
and it would. Well, let me finish.
A show
Kathy.
like The Five.
Well, this is what I would. Let me finish. Okay. I would do a primetime show up against Tucker and Hannity, hosted by Carrie Lake.
Well,
and
that's never gonna happen.
Well, then I guess they don't want to be important.
That's never gonna happen.
They don't want to be important. They just want people to.
I think it's a good opportunity. I mean, I love Carrie Lake too. She's a great news person. That's just not realistic.
That would turn things
that's
upside down.
Of course it would.
Yeah.
But there's so much opportunity there. They could really rethink the whole network.
That would be rethinking.
And put shows on, like true crime's really big. I would have like a Dateline type show on at 11 o'clock at night. Have a true crime show like Dateline. NBC does that. Everybody loves Dateline. And have a show like that on every night. Do an interview show like they did with Larry King on at like 9 o'clock with some big person.
Well, if you're going to do that,
they could revamp the whole network.
If you're going to do that, like a true crime show at night, what I would do is just completely follow like Hunter Biden's the crimes of these criminals in Washington.
Exactly. That's enough for everybody.
That's what I would do. So George Santos, I tell you, this is something. This guy, I'm with George Santos. I know that most everything they say about him is probably true, but I don't care. He's a Republican. He'll vote yay and nay when we need him to, and let them deal with it in 2 years.
And most everything he says is untrue.
Yeah. Now he's been accused of sexual harassment.
Of course.
They say disgraced Congressman George Santos. Well, I don't know if he's been disgraced. I know they're soiling him with all kinds of things, most of which have not been proven. But anyway, disgraced Congressman George Santos has been accused of sexually harassing an aide and asking him if he was on Grindr. Santos, age 34, asked Derek Myers. I like how they say, oh no, it just says allegedly. I missed the allegedly. Santos, age 34, allegedly asked Derek Myers if he was on the dating app Grindr. That's the gay dating app, and explained that he had a profile. Okay, Santos has a profile. The pair had been going through letters from constituents on January 25th when the allegations took place, according to the letter sent to the House Committee on Ethics Friday. So what? I mean, so what? You're on Grindr. It doesn't mean, so what? I mean, Myers claims that Santos asked him to sit closer after they spoke about Grindr, and then began touching his leg before inviting him to karaoke. The aide said he declined the invitation, but Santos then moved his hand to his groin area and assured him that his husband was out of town and invited him over. Myers was in the process of being hired by George Santos, but was fired a day before he made the allegations because he's facing criminal wiretapping charges in Ohio. So this is the source of credibility. This guy's facing wiretapping charges.
Yeah.
And
same guy that's going after Matt Gaetz.
Probably.
Deal.
I mean, give me a break. The journalist was charged last year after a small newspaper he ran published audio of courtroom testimony that somebody else recorded and sent to him. He's widely defended by journalism organizations. Myers also released the tape to Talking Points memo in which he was having a conversation with Santos, but failed to tell him or his chief of staff that he was recording them. Santos said, I obviously blanked up and lied to him like I lied to everyone else. Goes on. Now, this guy Santos, okay, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm a little suspect of it. All of a sudden, they're going down that path with, that they did with the other. They want this guy out because what'll happen is they'll have a special election. Democrat probably win it, so they want to have. Yeah, we have a slim majority, so they want to do. We want to stick with Santos.
Better not quit or step down like Al Franken did.
I don't care about any of these things at this point. Our majority, we have the majority. It's too slim to lose a single seat. We're not going to lose. This thing with Ilhan Omar getting knocked off the committees. Okay, the reason she got knocked off the committees is because she's a security risk. Her and Tlaib and others, but those two in particular. When Trump on more than one occasion, but I think it was in particular with the Iranian general. When he took out the Iranian general, they didn't tell Congress. The reason they didn't tell Congress is because they didn't want Omar and Tlaib telling, their friends, over there. And these are security risks. And they're talking about racism. I'm here to tell you this, that if I told you guys on September 12th, 2001, that the next president of the United States would be Barack Obama, that would be his name. We know none of us ever heard of him.
Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah, the next president of the United States will be Barack Hussein Obama. You would tell me Osama bin Laden's never going to be president. No, not Osama bin Laden, Barack Hussein. And once we clarified that, you would say there would never be a Muslim president of this country.
Never.
And, Barack Hussein Obama. And now we have Ilhan Omar. She's a security risk, and so is Tlaib, and they cannot be on these committees because they are privy.
Hey, look, you know what?
They're privy to information.
They're in charge. The Republicans are in charge of the House. They can do whatever the hell they want. When the Democrats are in charge, they kick people off committees too.
So all this media coverage about Santos, even all these things being true, when you have these other things going on, like the spy network with Macho, that we were talking about earlier, that everyone knows about, the risks with Tlaib and the others and Fang. I mean, it's ridiculous. We're supposed to dump Santos when they have people involved in CCP spy networks and other things going on. It's absurd, And I know this will sound like a ridiculous thing, but we got to stick by Santos. If we had like a 50 or 60 seat majority, then I say, okay, let's get some. But we're going to give up a Republican seat with a small majority when they've got they act like they're the moral people over there. And when they're talking about, this is racism against Ilhan Omar, everybody knows what it's about and everyone's afraid to say it. Okay. And
they use racism always.
That's right.
Just to manipulate and to control people. Anytime you do anything that involves these days anybody who's a person of color, it's not that they're unqualified or that they're corrupt, or it's always about race. It's a way of shaming people.
Intimidation.
It's an intimidation. Exactly right.
And it's not going to work. And I hope Ilhan Omar keeps pushing on this, because the more she pushes on it, the more the obvious is going to be said. Now, listen, we're all out of time, but we'll be back next time. And, since I'm back from my vacation now, we got some catching up to do, because a lot of stuff happened while I was gone, and a lot of things are developing now. We're in a very hot and busy news space. And I must tell you this, you can find this program everywhere. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. We're even on Audible. We're on and Spotify, on all podcast platforms. If there's a podcast platform, you can find the Brian Craig Show podcast on it. I also upload the podcast to my YouTube channel. Just search Brian Craig or Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And YouTube is a fun place to listen to the show, because I always upload the podcast in a live premiere where there's a live chat room, just like when I'm on the radio in the mornings live streaming. And there's a very opinionated and active chat group when the podcast is playing on YouTube that you can be a part in. But we're on all podcast platforms, so you can listen to the show all the time. And don't forget, when I announce that we have my cruise vlog ready, that will be a live premiere, and you will not want to miss it. It's very, very good. I'm in the middle of it now, and it'll take a few more days to get done. But when it's done, the vlog of the cruise, you'll have a lot of fun, and you'll want to be in the chat room while it's going on. It's going to be kind of like, what do they call those things they're doing on like Netflix and stuff now, where you do the group watching?
We can. I haven't done that.
That's kind of what it is. Okay, when you are watching on YouTube, and the vlog is going to be spectacular from the cruise. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. I'm Brian Craig, always joined, except on the last podcast last week on the cruise ship, always joined, other than that, by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.